Hi. So we're looking at chapter 7, where God said, I will destroy man whom I had created from the face of the earth, both man and beast, and the creeping things, and the fowls of the air, for it repented me that I have made them. Destroy. I will destroy man because man has grieved, broken God's heart. So he's going to destroy man, he's going to destroy beasts, he's going to destroy creeping things, he's going to destroy the fowls of the air. Basically, he's going all the way back to day 4. He's gonna undo day 5. Day 5 is where he made all these things. So he's gonna undo day 5 because it repented me that I have made them. What does it repented means? Meaning grieved. It repented. It might just be. It's just a funny construction for me. Now, this is the second time we're seeing other things being cursed because of man. Here, the beasts, the crawling things, the fowl of the air, going to all be cursed. The first time we saw this was when the ground was cursed. Remember when we saw the ground was cursed in the third curse, um, where let's see let's take the time to always make sure that we cross-reference it. Okay, because that was in verse 14 to 19 in chapter 2. So verse 14 to 19 is where we saw the curse. Or was it chapter? Oh, was it chapter 3? Chapter 3, sorry. Chapter 3. Okay. When did it curse the ground? In verse 17. Verse 17, chapter 3. It's where he cursed the ground. Thou shalt not eat of it. Cursed is the ground for thy sake. Again. So now, so we have, so this is chapter 3, verse 17, we curse the ground. And now in this chapter 6, verse 7, he's cursing the beast, the crawling things, the fowls of the air. So let's keep going. We're now in verse 8. Oh, thank God for but. But always means an exception. Okay, but Noah. It always means an exception. What is the but here? The but is Noah found grace in the eyes of God. Who is Noah? Remember we saw Noah? Noah is Lamesh's son, and he is also the great grandson of Seth. And God, this morning, you see how we're tying in? I didn't even know Noah coming up. This morning, God did in the recap, where in chapter 5, verse 28, Lamech begot Noah, and Noah was known to be a comfort, right? And because of that, we're coming now to this Noah. So we're told, let's see but Noah. Verse 8 is Noah. Put it big, Noah. Capital. Let's highlight it. Noah. Let's hear all the things we know about Noah. 1. Noah is the great. Let me tell you how many greats. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6. 6 G's. And then grandson. of Seth, which makes him 7G's great, 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 great grandson of Adam. He was also the son, okay, son, he was also the son of Lamech and the grandson of Methuselah and the great grandson of Enoch. Why is that important? Because Enoch never died. He was the first person who broke God's curse of death and we saw that curse of death from chapter 2, verse 17. Okay? So that's important. Now we're seeing, so that one member of the family that broke a curse. So this is the first curse breaker, Enoch. Now we see Noah now being the second curse breaker of that family. So that is, what is coming out here, and I think what God is trying to show us here, is you could either have generational curses with the Cain and the Lamech, and their generation curses, the Lamech over there kill a man, and here you get in generational blessings. Okay, so to put that, this is generational blessings. So this is all proof of generational blessing. Now, we read all about Noah, I think, but I think what's coming out here, the difference here is we never trace how, from all the way Seth coming down, how this family, this line of the tree, could be blessed. And then you have Cain, whose line coming down being cursed. Okay, so here's the great grandson. So let's get what God say here about Noah. So when Noah was born, he was called a comfort, right? Remember that? We saw where he was called a comfort. So we put in all the things about him. Let me read what was said. The same shall comfort us concerning our work and toil of our hand, because the ground which the Lord had cursed. So that's also thing. So he was called a comfort, and that was verse 29. That's chapter 5, verse 29. Now we see here, he found grace with God. And that made him the exception. Found grace in the eyes of God. Oh, could we find grace in the eyes of God? Could we be a comfort? Okay, so this is chapter 6, verse 8. God trying to show us something here, generational blessing. And these are the generations of Noah. Noah was a just man. So let's put that. He was a just man. You want to know how to find grace in the eyes of God? You be a just man. And perfect. Yes, it's possible to be perfect even before Christ. First mention of perfection before Christ. You know how everybody says you have to be perfect and Christ makes you perfect? So this is the first mention of perfection before Christ. It's possible, people. It is possible. And Noah walked with God. So that is three things God said in this verse. Walked with God. You want to know how to find grace with God? 1, be just. 2, be perfect. 3, walk with God. This is what this exercise is about. We are trying to learn how to walk with God. So we're on the right track. Just need to be perfect and just. Okay. And no verse, so we're in verse 10 now. Yeah, we're in verse 10. And Noah begat 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. Okay, so we know that already. So we had that. We already had that in the chart. Okay, but we'll just add the link here. So we put chapter 6 verse 10. Okay, just so that when we do cross reference, we'll know where everything is. The earth was also corrupt before God. So it's not only man was corrupt. So let's leave some space. I'm going to leave this because I feel like coming back to Noah. So leave all of this. This is Noah. So we're going to leave some line. So now we're going into verse 11. The earth here. Now let's hear about the earth. The earth was corrupt. So before God. So not only man was corrupted, the earth was also corrupt. And the earth was filled with violence. My God, you can imagine how violence. And God, verse 12, God looked upon the earth and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupt his way upon the earth. So is it that it was corrupt because all flesh? It doesn't say because here. Behold, God looked upon the earth and behold, it was corrupt. For all flesh had corrupted his way upon the earth. So I'm going to put a thing here, man, because I don't want to blame the earth for this. And we want to say man, flesh. Okay. Corrupted his way upon the earth. So the earth was corrupt and the flesh was corrupt. Okay. And God said unto Noah, so God speak directly to Noah. So let's go back to Noah here and let's put God speaks directly. Remember, they said man had started to call upon the name of the Lord. There seemed to be some kind of, no longer the direct communication. Okay, God speak directly to Noah. So this is verse 13 here. And this is what God said. The end of all flesh is come before me, for the earth is full with violence through them. And behold, I will destroy them with the earth. Okay, so again, we go back to this. See, so God is giving the reason. God is not just destroying the earth and flesh because, he's feeling vindictive or whatever. He's telling Noah, he is speaking directly to Noah and he's giving flesh the reason why he's about to do what he's about to do. God doesn't need to tell Noah anything. God could do what he wants. But God had chosen. And this is also another example of how God chooses to interact to us. That if you are just perfect walking with God, God will talk to you directly and give you the reason. So he's given reasons for his actions. Now we saw that later on with Abraham. Remember when he said, if I do this and Abraham will find out and thing and Abraham will, how will it look, kind of stuff like that. But we're seeing it here. God is doing it. He's given reasons for his action. He's saying, the end of all flesh has become before me, for the earth is filled with violence through them. So this brings us back to over here with the earth filled with violence. And here we see God is saying in verse 13, it is through man that the earth is filled with violence. So you could go back up here. So the earth is corrupt before God, filled with violence. And now we get how the earth is filled with violence. The earth is filled with violence through man. Okay? And what is the result of that? God will destroy the earth and man. And that is also verse 13. And it's corruptible, and God saying, the the God tells Noah the end of man. The end of man, we still in verse 13. The end of all flesh has come before me, for the earth is full of violence through them, and I will destroy them. God, he will destroy them. So he's going to destroy the earth, and he's going to destroy man and the earth. So, we saw previously, and this, you see how God is linking up. God is with this study, yeah? Because what was the first recap God wanted me to remind you all this morning? That he speaks the truth. When he told Adam that if you eat of the fruit, you will die, and then the serpent come and say, no, you wouldn't die. And then what happened? Adam did in fact die. He wanted me to recap with you all that he speaks the truth. So here, what did he want me to recap? Secondly, the generational blessings and the generational curse. Okay? And what has today's lesson been about? Generational blessings through the set line and generational curses. Noah is all about generational blessing. Recap number 2. This is all about recap number 1. God speaks the truth. So I'm going to put that linked to recap 2 generational curses, blessings. You see, he began the recap. Wake me up this morning and tell me these 2 things. And I didn't know what he was talking about. And look how I don't pre-read the chapter. Look how the chapter turned out to be about the 2 things that he recapped about. God speaks the truth when he talks. When he talks. God is with this study. He is ordaining this study. I don't know any of the stuff before I come to you. I am learning it as I go along. I'm just trying not to not to stay too long, but I have to, he telling me, stop with that, stop with that, spend the time. This is what he wants. He wants this. He wants to speak to us. So stop rushing me. I'm going to stop with this time thing. We're going to take as long. If you need to pause, pause, come back later, mark down, how many minutes, whatever, and then come back. But let's take our time. So we're on to verse 13 now. Okay, verse 13. Make thee, so he's given instructions, make thee an ark of gopher wood. God actually gave me a book. I wrote a book about gopher wood. I'm going to be making it available, but it came straight from God. It is too cute. Make thee an ark of gopher wood, rooms. Okay, so in instructions to instructions to Noah. Okay, so what we have here, we see in verse 13, God speaking directly to Noah. And this is what God is saying. One, make an ark of gopher wood. Why gopher wood? I don't know. Rooms. In the ark, you will have rooms. Verse 14, rooms shall thou make in the ark. You shall pitch it. Now, I am from Trinidad and Tobago originally, and we have one of the few pitch lakes in the world. If you ever go, take some of the water in a soda bottle, because that's sulfur in it and it's very good for acne and that kind of thing. But okay, so you're going to pitch it inside and outside. You see how God very detailed? God already tell. Now, the whole idea with pitch is what we put on the road. If you're waterproofing it, but you're not only waterproofing it on the inside, you're waterproofing it on the outside so that the wood will hold up. Okay, so if you pitch on the outside, the water wouldn't get to touch the wood, to rotten the wood. And then you pitch it on the inside so that the water don't seep through. So you see how God detail oriented? And this is the fashion. God using the word fashion. That thou shalt make of it. The length. So really fashion means shape of it. Okay, so the length, and look how specific God is. 300 cubits. The breadth. Tomorrow I will come back and tell you what these cubits are. The next session. The breadth is 50 cubits and the height is 30 cubits. Okay, so let's see. We have it long. I'm drawing it long. It had to be three-dimensional. 50. Okay, and then it have to have a height. I just join it like a box. 30. Nobody will sit down and do this with all you, But this is how you learn. I am very happy to be here. Very happy. So this is 300 cubits. I will put it in inches and feet and yards or whatever. And this one is 50 cubits. and this here is 30 cubits. Okay, so this is the shape of the ark, not the actual shape, but this is what it is. So it's 300 by 50 going across here by 30 coming down here. Okay, so and then you're going to put pitch on the inside and pitch on the outside, and they're going to have rooms in it. Make rooms in the ark. So let's draw in some rooms. We're doing exactly what God tells us to do. Hmm. Oh boy. I ain't all that good in this thing called drawing. Huh? And imagine I do art for exams. Okay, I get a room. Maybe I could get another room just for the ease of it. Let's do it. Let's do it. We're not wasting time here. If we could remember our thoughts, where our heart is, create our thought. Our heart is with God. We're creating thoughts of what does ark look like, and then our imagination. We're spending time, imagination, thinking about it continually. So we're not rushing out. We're not going to watch TV and eat and all that kind of thing. We're going to spend time. Our heart is with God. Our thoughts are on the ark. We're imagining what the ark is going to look like continuously because we're putting in rooms right now. And what they're going to do is not going to go to evil. It's going to go to good. The same concept. So right now, we're putting in rooms because God tell us to put in rooms. We're putting in rooms in our app drawing here. So we're not wasting time. We're putting our mind where God wants it to be, on Him. Okay. So I get 3 rooms in there. 3 rooms, okay? Let us think. We have to visualize. Visualize what it is God was doing. Okay. A window shall you make to the ark. So let's put in a window. Because we never think about it. You ever spend any time thinking about what the ark looked like? Well, not the actual ark, but so put a window, top of a window, okay? And a window shall you put in the ark, and in a cubit shall you finish it above. So apparently there is something else. It go up 1 cubit, like the roof. It have a roof. Oh Lord. All right, think about your roof for the ark. Go up 1 cubit to get your roof for your ark. So 1 cubic up. So this is the roof. Because that's what he said. He said put a window. There's the window here. This is rooms. Okay. And a cubit shall you finish it above. So that's the roof. Go up a cubit and put a roof. And a door. It's a 1 cubic roof. And then we have a door. He said put a door on this side. What I mean? Okay, so if I face in your house, most people put a door in front of your house, right? But God say, don't put it on the front of the house, put it on the side of the house. So I had to put my door here. Okay? Because this is the front of the ark. I put the window here. Look my roof. I'm going up with the roof. I ain't great in art. I'm great in art. I'm calling it. I'm great in art. Right? There's the roof going up 1 cubic. These are the rooms. There's the window. There's the front of it. Because your front going to be the longer part of the house. This is the side, the shorter part. This is the 50 and this is the 300. God said don't put the door here. Because most people will put their door here because it's the front of the house. God said put it on the side. Maybe for structural whatever. I don't know. But he said put it on the side, we put it on the side. So door on side. You never thought about any of this. What was God thinking about when he was making this ark? And died with lower, second and third. So it's a 3-story ark. 3-story ark. 3 stories. Okay, so this is going to be 1 level, 2 level, 3. So we're like 3 stories on an attic because the roof. But I add that in, eh? Okay, so 3 stories. So we have 1 here, 2, 3. It looks like a barn. Well, that's how I draw it. Okay, but this is good to know. I bet you never knew that the ark had 3 stories. If you knew the ark had 3 stories, you write me, you hit me up and tell me you knew this. Okay? And behold, I, even I, do bring a flood of water upon the earth. Let's keep going to see where God taking us with this. To destroy all flesh wherein is the breath of life from under the heaven, and everything that is in the earth shall die. So let's capture that. So let's put that down as flood. Let's see, this whole ark thing, the window was verse 16, this was verse 15, verse 15, pitch, verse 14, not pitch, 14, verse 14, verse 14. Okay, verse 14. So all of this about the roof and everything else was verse 16. I just know we're going to come back to all of this. Verse 16. Okay, so we now enter the flood. The flood is verse 17. The flood, 1. The first thing we know about the flood, behold, I, even I. God wants to make sure you know who do it. God did it. And he do it that I, even I. Now, the most famous statement from God is, I am that I am. But look, we have another one here. I, even I, do bring a flood of water. What he doing? He bringing a flood of waters, not just water, waters. Where? Upon earth. To do what? Destroy. What are you going to destroy? All flesh. Wherein is the breath of life. All flesh with breath. Again, this is and again, another one of the curses, curse other things. Just gonna make a note of that and imagine we've been using the pink. We saw where he cursed. Now he's saying not just the foul and the creeping things, man and the animal, beast, all things with the breath of life in it. He's gonna curse. From under the heaven. Remember, we learned the filament, and then there was another heaven under that, there was a heaven above it, there was a heaven under, so there are more than one heaven. So from under the heaven, the filament was called heaven, but with a capital H. Here is under the heaven. So let's underline the common H and put filament, firmament. Why am I saying, what? Let me find the word. I think filament. I think it's firmament. Okay. Heaven with plural. Firmament. Firmament. That was in chapter 1. You have nothing else to do. I could tell you that. That's verse 8. Firmament. Firmament. Verse 8. Chapter 1, verse 8. And that was called heaven with a capital H. But then there was heavens underneath it and heavens above it, under the heaven. So we have a question about where this heavens. Okay, so this will be under the heavens. So anyway, under the firmament. That much we could be safe and saying. And then now we almost finished. And everything that is on the earth shall die. Everything, not just all flesh. The trees, the everything, not just things with breath of life from under the heaven. And everything in earth shall die. Curse of other things. Okay. Right? So everything gonna die because of man. Look at verse 18. When we get there, but, another but. I love to see a but. The last but we saw was in verse 8. Leave some space because we might need to come back, but there was one in verse 8, and now we have, this is verse 18. This is our second but. Okay? But with thee will I establish my covenant. First talk of a covenant. But. So what is this but about? With thee, Noah, I, God, what will he do? Establish. And what you going to establish? Establish is set up a covenant. So this is the first covenant, official covenant we've been told about. First covenant. Okay? So this is what we have here. The second but. Okay, so, and this is the covenant. You shall come, those are my words. Thou shalt come into the ark, thou and thy sons and thy daughters. So, under covenant, we have Noah into ark, and verse 18 still. Then sons, then wife. God put his sons before the wife. Then the son's wife. And then of every living thing of all flesh. So he's keeping something, every living thing of all flesh. Two each you will bring into the yard to keep them alive. Two, male and female, of the fowl after their kind. The reason to do this is to keep alive. Okay, two, of the fowl after their kind, of the cattle after their kind, creeping things after a kind, two of every sort shall come into thee to keep after. So he is keeping the fowl, two creep cattle, two creeping thing. Okay? And take thou unto thee of all food that is eaten. So what else you have to bring? You have to bring food. And thou shalt gather it to thee, and it shall be food for thee. So food for the humans and food for the animals. So gather up food for the humans and food for the animals. Thus did Noah, according to all that God commanded him, did he. So we're going back and we're going to put verse 22 under the Noah. So wait, before we go back, let me show you what I did here. So this is the butt, right? And then he come down and he established the covenant. And this is the covenant. You, your son, your wife, your son's wife, every living thing, two, the fowl, the cattle, the creeping thing, male and female, then food for yourself and for the animals. This is the covenant here, right? The butt covenant. And now we're going back under Noah, because we're keeping all the things relating to Noah. The last thing we had written was that God spoke directly to Noah. Now, that was in verse 13. Now we're going to put that Noah did everything God commanded him to do, meaning he obeyed. Noah did all, did according. He didn't do according to what God told him to do. Did according to all that God commanded him. So he did he. He didn't change anything. He was like Adam or Eve who added, let me put that. So put in that he obedient. He obedient, right? But we also want to put that, we want to show how he different from Adam who disobeyed. And we know how. Different from Eve who disobeyed and added in commands. He different from Cain, who was disrespectful, who did his own offering, well, or the offering according to his own way, and was disrespectful. Because Cain's offering wasn't pleasing to God because he do it not according to what God may have said. Okay? So, because I know he's gonna come back, he being God, gonna come back and tell me to link these up to prior things. Okay? So, folks, we're done. But let's recap. Let's recap. God started off by telling me to recap for you all that he spoke the truth and that there are generation curses like Cain, where his great great grandson, whatever, kill a man, or their generational blessings like Seth, where his great 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 grandson Noah became well became a man who was just, who was perfect. You could be perfect from now. Noah was perfect before Christ, and who walked with God. And because he walked with God, he was able to get a covenant, and he was given instruction, and he did everything. So we're done for the day. Let's close in prayer. Thanking God. Heavenly Father, I sense that you are enjoying this because you're bringing in all sorts of knowledge. The Holy Spirit is bringing we feeling all sorts of stuff that I just never, thought about. And I thank you for this time. I thank you for the people who are listening and how you're blessing them and how they are going to be generational blessings to their great, 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 great grandsons and granddaughters. And I thank you that even regardless of what happened in the past, we could be buts. If we walk justly, righteously, perfect in front of you, you could establish your own covenant directly with us. There is nothing stopping you from doing that. And you want to show that if every man dictates the relationship, and like Noah, we want to be obedient and do it according to what you command us to do. So we ask this in Jesus' name, that you will make us the type of people that you will be willing to come and visit, just like how you're visiting now. And I pray for everybody and their family, their health, their financial, their creativity, their opportunity, their business, whatever it is in their life. We touch it now in Jesus' holy name, the name that you give us, the body and blood of Christ. By his stripes we are healed. Touch whatever area of our life. Whatever area of our life need healing, whatever area of our body. Let our heart think thoughts and have imagination continuously that lead to good. These things we pray in Jesus Christ's holy name. So, check me out tomorrow. We're going to be doing it again. And we're going to keep going. I'm enjoying it. So, take care. Talk to you soon. Bye.